Yeah, well, concerning textual criticism of the New Testament, at any rate, we are just to consider the claims made by the modern critics. Now, the modern critics claim that the Textus Receptus, the Byzantine majority text, is a late production, and that early manuscripts from Egypt, dug up from the sands of Egypt, are well, they're certainly earlier, and they represent a primitive form of the text generally. And the claim is made that things like for example, Codex Vaticanus or Codex B is an Alexandrian. It's called an Alexandrian text type, of which there's many, but the claim is made that this is the evolutionary ancestor of the Byzantine majority text, which was the result of a process of addition, which is analogous to St. Jerome's certainly well-known edition of the Old Latin in about AD 400. Problem is, as people have shown, that there's not a lot of historical evidence for these other analogous revisions. If you look at, for example, the Revised Standard Version, Codex B is called one of the oldest and most reliable manuscripts. And I want to point out that this simple, in Luke 23:47, you notice here there's an interesting phrase. When Jesus was being crucified, there was darkness over the earth, and the phrase tu heliou eklepontos, which is in the genitive sense, which is the usual way of putting in a kind of paragraph, a tangential paragraph in the sun having been eclipsed. Now, this reading, eklepontos, is only known from one manuscript out of thousands of early manuscripts. And Origen in the 2nd century wrote that he had noticed that there was one or two manuscripts around the place where he was living in Alexandria and in Palestine. He noticed that there was one or two manuscripts which had this strange reading. The usual reading from the from the Byzantine majority text is es skotis di hohelios. The sun was darkened. And we see 44 skotos agenitor ef holintingi. Darkness became over all the earth until the 9th hour, and the sun was darkened. Now, there's an odd manuscript from the 4th, 5th century, Codex B, which has this strange reading, the sun was eclipsed. Now, presumably, Jesus was crucified just before the Passover, and the Passover occurred at a full moon. Now, when there's a full moon, the sun and the earth and the moon are in a line. But during an eclipse, the opposite is the case. moon is between the sun and the earth, so it's impossible to actually have an eclipse of the sun during a full moon. So this is this Codex B, this Alexandrian text type. This is just one of the many strange errors in Codex B and the other Alexandrian text types, which the errors can be shown to have been caused by a number of different reasons. Now, to say simply that they'd been redacted by Gnostics is a very controversial thing to say, but Codex B was written at a time when there were Arian bishops in many of the sees in the Eastern Empire, and Jerome actually records that certain verses from the Bible were being systematically taken out. But anyway, we can look at this is Codex Vercellensis, which is from a very early Latin text. This is just a transcription of the text of Codex Vercellensis, which is from about 350 AD. It's an old Latin manuscript, and you can download facsimiles of it, 19th century facsimiles of it from archive.org. But let's just note, chapter 23, verse 45, it pauses a sentence in a different way. It says, until the 9th hour, the sun was darkened. Now the question is, how do you pause? But this is the old Latin from the 4th century, which bears witness to the majority text, in contradiction of the Alexandrian text type observed. But it's so